All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? We're back, Monday edition. I got my guy Hamwich with me. We got 7 games on tap. We're coming back after the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. A little heartbreaking loss for my Packers there. Tough one for the Bills. Couldn't pull it out. Buccaneers, same thing against those Lions. Overall, good games. It was a great weekend over here. PGA, NBA, NFL. We had you covered at the Nation. Hamwich, I'll bring you in, man. Happy Monday. How you doing? How was your weekend? How's everything?
Yeah, no, happy Monday to you and everybody watching. Great weekend over here at the Nation. I know our guy Tambo had him a showdown shipper for over, 65K. Those games were amazing. I was thinking about you. I was thinking about my boy Title Saturday night, man. That was a heartbreaker for the Packers fans. But good game. That was a good game and 2 really good games Sunday. And looking forward to these next ones on Sunday. But we got to talk some winners tonight. We got 7 games, got some guys sitting out. So looking forward to diving in, talking about it.
Yeah, we got 7 games on tap. We got live final seats to qualify for. Hopefully myself gets that little qualification there to that live final, playing for $1 million later on this year. That'd be sweet there. Was out in Denver last year at the live final. That was a lot of fun. Looking to run it back here this season. But again, like you said, we had a great weekend over here. And if you guys are not a member yet, use that promo code PGA10. Popped it up on the screen there. Last chance to get 10% off. Whatever membership you do choose, shipitnation.com/join now. Get in there, choose your package. We got monthly, we got 6 months, we got annual packages available. PGA 10 gets you 10% off first month package or season package over there using that promo code. Best all-in rate in the industry. We got you covered for each and every sport. If not, just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton right here as well. And what you noted, we'll go through the injury news as possible, but the biggest injuries to watch out for is Anthony Edwards, questionable on the slate. That game's at 7, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Xavier Tillman's questionable, and Grayson Allen's also questionable. Grayson Allen, last game of the slate there, he's been playing very, very well over there for Phoenix, so that would be an interesting injury. And then Xavier Tillman's pretty big there for Memphis. We'll touch on all of it, but first game on tap here, we have San Antonio Spurs, Philadelphia 76ers, massive favorites here at home, 13.5-point favorites. Over-under of 237 here. Is it a Joel Embiid for you game tonight? You're going to have to be looking at about 3.5 quarters, you would assume here. Not really sure how the Spurs keep this game close. If they do keep it close, it's likely on the back of Victor Wembanyama here at 8,700. Sub 5% ownership on him. Joel Embiid looks to be pretty chalky on this slate, pushing 30%. Obviously, it's a very good matchup. Joel Embiid's matchup proof as well. And he's just been crushing as of late, right? 60, 70-point upside there. So touch on this one, San Antonio, Philly.
Yeah, it should be a walk in the park for these 76ers. Spurs struggle defensively, not only versus the center position or at the rim, but also point guard position as well. One of the worst teams in the league guarding the point guard. Joel Embiid, I mean, he's got a big boy price tag, 11.4. I believe that's the highest on the slate. But we also have him projected for the best value on the slate at over 66 points. I think he has his way tonight. You said it. He is matchup proof. Wemby may pose some resistance, but if we're getting 35 minutes out of Embiid, I mean, we shouldn't see less than 30 points. I think he scored more than 30 points, I want to say, in 20 straight games. I could be off by a game or two, but he is just matchup proof. He's going to have to get you 65 plus, though, in my opinion, to be on the winner. So I'll definitely have some Embiid in my 20 max. Also, I mentioned how they're bad against the point guard as well. Also, like the point guard Tyrese Maxey in this matchup, 8'8". I think he's in play, especially at that position. If you want to say, hey, Maxey's going to be the guy tonight, and Embiid's going to have 25 points. I think you have to have a little bit of Maxey. And then another guy that I want to talk about, that I talk about him all the time, Tobias Harris. I mean, he's only 6,900. I think he can definitely pay that price tag off. He needs to get into the 40s in order for that to happen, but he just does so many ancillary pieces. It's not always the points with him. It's the rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, things like that. So Embiid would be my favorite, followed by Maxey. And then Harris would be a distant third for me. And then on the other side, you said it. Wembanyama, he's just such a polarizing player. He's very good. $8,700. Is he going to get 25 plus minutes tonight? That's the thing you got to ask. He can get there even without that, but I'm gonna go out on a limb, Nate. I'm gonna be off Wembanyama tonight, just based on the matchup. Based on I think they do get blown out, and I think Pop pulls him early. He doesn't get there.
Yeah, the argument for Wembanyama, right, is if this game stays close, it's likely on the back of him. Last game he logged almost a 41% usage rate in 28 minutes there. He is just 8,700, which is a pretty fair price point on DraftKings. FanDuel, I would not get to him at 10K. The only upside, the issue is right, his minutes upside. It seems like he's pretty much capped at 28 minutes, which he hit last game. He's got 65-point upside each and every time he's on the court there, but it is a very tough spot here against Joel Embiid. So I'm with you there. I don't love it. Contrarian spend up in GPPs. I think it makes some sense here. I think my favorite Spur is just going to be the Julian Champagnie here, who's been drawing the start. He's been consistent. He's shooting the basketball. Yeah, he's going to play 20 to probably 24 minutes here, which isn't great. But at his price point, at 3,700, I think he could do worse in terms of value. Not one of the greatest values by any means, but if he does stay in that starting lineup, which he's slated to start right now, I think he's a fine value play there. But outside of that, there's really not a ton of interest for me in this game. I'm not going to get to Tobias Harris. I expect Tobias Harris to come in pretty chalky here at 6,900 in this matchup. I just don't think this game stays close. I get it. Tobias Harris has been playing 36, 38 minutes. I don't think he plays that much here tonight. Like I said, I don't account for blowout too much, but it's very, very hard to assume that the Spurs keep this game close in Philly here. So pretty much under on this game in general here. Joel Embiid, I like other studs more. We'll talk about one here in a couple of games coming up. But I'm team Giannis here over Joel Embiid here. Both of them have pretty similar games. I just think Giannis in the spot is a little bit better, and you save a little bit of money from him and some ownership there. So overall, not a ton of interest in this one. I think Tyrese Maxey, I guess, if you want a contrarian spend up guard there, he has a ceiling. But again, it's hard for me to think this game stays close, and I'm going to be under on it overall in total. Let's jump into the next one here. Cleveland and Orlando. In terms of this one, we're looking at a 216 total, lowest on the slate here, but it is a close spread here overall. In terms of injuries, Franz Wagner's back off injury. Wendell Carter's back in the projected starting lineup. The only injury we're looking at here is Karis LeVert is questionable. Obviously, that would give a slight boost to guys like Dean Wade, Okoro, Max Struss there. But touch on this one, Cleveland, Orlando, and touch on Wendell Carter Jr. coming off a massive, massive game where he absolutely shoved it in our face on Friday. If you didn't have him, it was pretty tough to win money there when he smashed. He's up to 5,400 now. In a tough matchup here against Cleveland, his ownership does look to stay in check right now, but touch on this one, Cleveland and Orlando.
Yeah, should be a good real life game. Franz is back, played 28 minutes. I believe that was last night that he played. So they are on the second half of a back-to-back tonight. I don't really have too much interest in this Magic team. I know Wendell Carter, I think would be my favorite play, but my favorite play in this game, and he's expensive, is going to be Donovan Mitchell for the Cavaliers. Still missing Darius Garland. Still missing Evan Mobley as well. So I like Donovan Mitchell. Also like Jared Allen. I think this is a matchup that Jared Allen can expose against Wendell Carter, against Goga. I'm assuming he's playing tonight as well. I like Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell. Jared Allen at 7,800, center position, eligible. Those are my favorite two. And then a distant third would be Karis LeVert. If he does play, I see a Q tag on him. But Donovan Mitchell for me, really like Donovan if Karis sits out, and then Jared Allen would be my second favorite Cav. I'm going to be off. I'm going to go get a little contrarian days. I'm going to say I'm out on all these Magic tonight.
Yeah, no, I think Wendell Carter or move on in this game. I mean, both these teams are top 5 in defense. The Magic are also bottom 2 in pace this month as well, which good defensive team on the other end, playing at a slow pace. That's why you see the 215.5 total there. Orlando 2-point dogs. Wendell Carter Jr. pass for me in this game. Donovan Mitchell, yeah, you can argue, always has the upside, right? He's top 10 among the league in terms of usage rates for starters across the entire NBA, but does get a tough matchup here. Jalen Suggs, very good defender here. Overall, Orlando, very good. You with Fultz, Gary Harris, and Isaac resting in this game. I mean, Chuma Okeke, Caleb Houston's minutes, not like they're great plays or anything, but they will get their rotations. I mean, their rotation minutes should be pretty safe. Caleb Houston at 4K, I guess, but really not a ton of interest overall. I mean, Wendell Carter Jr. or pass for me in this one. Let's jump into the next game here. Pretty decent game overall. I like the stud in this one. It's Milwaukee in Detroit here, not to face the Detroit Lions, who are in the NFC Championship game. It's the other Detroit team, not quite the same story. Milwaukee and the Pistons in this one. Looking at the total, 247, massive total, highest total on the slate here. 12-point spread, right? Milwaukee favored by 12 on the road here. Giannis at just 11K flat in this matchup. Projected to be pretty low owned, but on the other side, we have a lot of ownership going to Jaden Ivey. Obviously, point guards against the Bucks has been a thing all year long. Touch on this one. I do think this is a very attractive game. I really like the stud on the Bucks for Giannis here in this game. But where are you going? Are you looking at other plays?
Yeah, a rematch of a game that we had on Saturday, and it was like a 270 point total that they hit. That wasn't the total. That's how many points they got. And the Greek Freak just went off shooting 22 free throws. If you're looking for a good fullback that's going to shoot 20 free throws, then hey, Giannis is your guy. Not going to hit a lot of shots, but it's going to roll into a lot of people and get a lot of free throws. But I mean, he's a great play tonight. The rim defense for the Pistons is pretty bad. Jalen Duren not going to pose much of a threat tonight for him. So I think you got to like the Greek Freak. I am with you. I like Giannis over Embiid tonight. I think this game plays relatively closely. So I do like Giannis. Jaden Ivey, you said it. I mean, to me, Jaden Ivey's an easy fade. I mean, we have him at 35% ownership. To me, in GPPs is which, where you and I play. That's a fade for me at 35% on Jaden Ivey. He's got this game, maybe one more, but definitely this game without Cade Cunningham. So this will be the last game that he has, is ball dominant. And then give me some Dame time. I like Dame. Dame absolutely annihilated this matchup just a couple nights ago. He shot 16 free throws in and of itself, scoring almost 75 DraftKings points. So it'd be Giannis for me, number one. Damian Lillard, number two for me. And then I kind of like Bojan Bogdanovic tonight. Played 32 minutes last time out, was only 5 of 15. I think he, if he makes a few more of those shots, I think he does better. I like Bojan Bogdanovic as my favorite Piston tonight to pair with Giannis and or Dame time.
Yeah, no, great breakdown here. I really love Giannis here. I mean, these two just played right, and Detroit kept it close. No garbage time was played. Giannis went for 31-10 and 3 stocks in his 38 minutes that he played. There, really like the spot again at 11K. I'm seeing pretty low ownership. I think that changes a little bit, but it seems like at least right now, people are going Joel Embiid over Giannis. I'd much rather save $400, go to Giannis in a game that I say has a better chance to stay close than that Spurs and Philly game, just with Milwaukee being on the road. Not quite the same team on the road as they are at home. Jaden Ivey, I don't agree with you there. I think Jaden Ivey is a great play here. He's got the coach speak as well from Coach Williams there. And he's averaged around 32% usage rate. Played over 32 minutes at least 32 minutes in each of the last 3 games since the coach came out and said that. He's taken 18, 22, 16 shot attempts, 5, 6, 7 3-point attempts in a matchup against Dame Lillard and Malik Beasley. I mean, I think that's ownership I'm willing to go there because I already like Giannis on the other side. I'm going to need Ivy to be chucking the basketball, keep the game close. So I do like Ivy. We differ a little bit there. And then my second favorite Detroit piece is actually going to be Jalen Duren here at the center position. He should get you 30 to 32 minutes here. I think he's a pretty solid play on the other side here at 6,800. So really like Ivy, really like Giannis, and then really like Jalen Duren here for this game. Outside of that, I mean, Bobby Portis, I think, is all right. Bojan Bogdanovic as a pivot off of Ivy, I think that's a solid play. He should come in 5 to 10% owned there. And you got to think if Ivy's not getting there, it's because Bojan's chucking the basketball, right? He's taken at least 13 shot attempts in each of the last 3 games there, and at least 7 3-point attempts in each of the last 2 games too. Just hasn't been shooting very good. 5 of 15, right? 7 of 13, 3 of 7 from 3. Not really picking up ancillary rebounds, assists, and stuff, which hurts his upside a little bit in for tournaments and DFS scoring. But I think he's a good pivot off of Ivy. But for me, my 2 favorite plays by far, Jaden Ivey, Giannis, and then Jalen Duren with a contrarian GPP play in Bojan Bogdanovic. Let's jump into the next game here. We have Memphis and Toronto in this one. Again, Xavier Tillman is questionable. If he were to miss, obviously that gives a big boost to guys like David Roddy, right? Santi Aldama. The Williams would get some boost there. But touch on this one in terms of a total in here. We have 226 total, 7-point spread. So not the greatest total here, but I think you can grab some plays from here. In terms of ownership, there's a lot of ownership going to a lot of these guys. Gary Trent, Xavier Tillman obviously is projected to be pretty high owned right now. Scotty Barnes, Concher, Jaren Jackson. Quickly, RJ Barrett on this new look team, right? He's been playing great basketball, taking a lot of shots there. And then Luke Kennard as a mid-tier value option at 5,400, right? Because I do believe, right, Ja is not playing. So Luke Kennard likely is going to start at the 1. Touch on this game, Memphis and Toronto.
Yeah, I think I actually like this game to go over the posted total. And one of my favorite plays in this game is going to be Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, the guy has, shot it 20-plus times in 5 or 6 games, 18 in every game in that 6-game stretch. He's just been shooting it a whole bunch without Bane, without Smart, without Ja, and no Jakob Poeltl, to man the middle. In my opinion, they don't have anybody that can guard Jaren Jackson Jr. He's their, best player. And I think that's a reasonable price, $7,900 for a guy that's going to be that involved in the offense, that involved in the game. We know what he can do defensively with his blocks and his rebounds. So give me some Jaren Jackson Jr. Then I also think Scotty Barnes is underpriced at 8.2. And I also like Emmanuel Quickly at 6,800. I think those guys are all priced appropriately. But Jaren would be my favorite play in this game. You alluded to, the Williams boys. I think Vince Williams Jr. at 6,200, probably the better play of the bunch, just based on the fact that he's playing, 30-plus minutes every night, just based on the bodies that Memphis has to trot out there. So if Tillman sits, I really like Jaren Jackson Jr. even more than I already do. But give me Jaren Jackson, give me Scotty Barnes Quickly, Vince Williams. I don't mind the Kennard take either. He's been playing 30 minutes as well. We know he's a sharp shooter from distance. That would kind of be the extent of it for me.
Great breakdown. Obviously, Luke Kennard and Concher both going to be pretty chalky value plays. Concher, just a 10% usage rate, but again, he is 3.9K, pretty solid value play. Obviously, if Tillman misses, that gives those guys a boost. Jaren Jackson has been crushing, 35.3% usage rate last game, or over the last 5 games, excuse me. And he's 7.9K here. I think the thing you run into with Jaren Jackson, right, like you alluded to, you struggle when he has a tough matchup, right, and struggles with foul problems, right, because he can't keep his hands to himself. I don't think that's the case here tonight, so I don't mind Jaren Jackson. I'm with you there. I do like that. My favorite Toronto piece is definitely going to be Emmanuel Quickly. His price is coming down now, more towards where it was when he kind of first joined this team here, and now gets the best matchup he's had in quite a few games, right, and Quickly at 6,800. I think I'm definitely team Quickly over RJ at that price point there. The only issue is Quickly is just point guard eligible, which does hurt your roster construction a little bit there. But I do think Quickly is a nice play here. And then Vince Williams Jr., is a minutes guy. I mean, he plays upper 30 minutes if the game stays close. Last game, he only played 30 minutes, but the game blew out, right? In garbage time, he lost his last rotation. If this game stays close, he's going to play 36 to 38 minutes, and he's 6,200 here. He has shown a ceiling of 45, 50 DraftKings points. I don't hate him either. But for me, my favorite play, definitely Jaren Jackson, definitely quickly on both sides here. I think Scotty Barnes is an interesting play in tournaments at 8,200. We know the upside Scotty Barnes can have, and especially if we get point Scotty, if he plays his 34 to 37 minutes, I think he's got a lot of upside here. And then if Xavier Tillman does play, I do like Xavier Tillman at 5,300. He'll play his mid-30s minutes. It's a pretty decent matchup overall. So I don't hate Xavier Tillman, but obviously that is big news. You do have to monitor because it does give guys ancillary pieces and boost like your Santi Aldamas, your Conchars, your secondaries. And then it also gives guys like Jaren Jackson a boost as well. Let's jump into the next game here. Charlotte, Minnesota. In terms of a total in this one, massive spread here. 14-point favorites for Minnesota. Second lowest total on the board. Obviously, Minnesota, one of the best defensive teams in the league. But you do have a lot of ownership going here. Anthony Edwards is also questionable as well. If he were to miss, this ownership on guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 3,500, Slow-Mo Kyle Anderson at 3,700, who both these guys are also over 30% projected ownership right now. Guys like Naz Reid at 4.9K. A lot of ownership going to this Minnesota team as it sits right now. Obviously, that would change and get even bigger if Ant Edwards were to miss. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker slated to start here at just 3.5K. Touch on him. He's got a pretty healthy projection, but, man, he just has not shown a ceiling lately. I mean, he hasn't scored over 20 DraftKings points since back the matchup early January against Boston. Touch on this one. Do you think this game stays close? Are you grabbing plays from here? Seems like a lot of the field is gravitating towards these Minnesota pieces against a team in Charlotte who doesn't play any defense.
Yeah, obviously the biggest talking point is going to be Anthony Edwards. I think he was a midday downgrade to questionable, which if he were to play, I have a ton of interest in Edwards. We know Mike Conley's resting. And what does that mean? That means that Anthony Edwards, who's already incredible, is just going to have the ball in his hands that much more. So if he were to play at 8,400, point guard, if you will, Anthony Edwards is always somebody I have interest in. Also have tons of interest in Rudy Gobert, 7,400. We've seen what he can do over the last, 3+ weeks. Couple that with the fact that Charlotte is already 27th in the NBA against big men this year. They're going to be without their top two centers, having to put P.J. Washington up to guard Rudy Gobert. And for those that y'all don't know, that is not a favorable matchup for my boy P.J. So give me some Rudy Gobert, against that matchup, strictly matchup based. And then I guess I get it with Alexander starting. But, man, you said it, $3,500. This kid hasn't scored, 20s DraftKings points. I just don't know, Nades. I mean, you may need him just based on the salary, right? We got to have some salary savers somewhere. So I guess I could understand it there. But he's a tough click. I like Slow-Mo way better than him. We've seen what Slow-Mo can do at 3,700. So give me some Slow-Mo over Alexander Walker. Interested to hear your take. $200 difference, but I like Slow-Mo over him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never team Slow-Mo. I'll take Alexander Walker every day of the week, twice on Monday over Slow-Mo. I will not click Kyle Anderson. If he beats me at 3,700. I can't do it. I've never been a Kyle Anderson guy. I just don't like it. I'll think Nickeil Alexander Walker is good chalk. Obviously, he's going to be probably 70+% owned if Anthony Edwards were to miss this game too. I do think he's a good value play right now. He's only going to get better because I don't think Anthony Edwards plays. Midday downgrades definitely are not usually well or good for these NBA players. Naz Reid, I do like quite a bit at 4.9K. He's going to get ownership, but Naz Reid, high fantasy point per minute guy. Very good matchup here as well. And then Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert both have a very good matchup here. I think Karl Anthony Towns is a good play, but I do like your take on Rudy Gobert. I mean, you're getting Rudy Gobert at $300 cheaper, and he's been crushing and now gets a stone nut matchup here against Charlotte. So I do like Rudy Gobert quite a bit. Not sure why Karl Anthony Towns is projected for the higher ownership, likely due to the having power forward eligibility, which is nice, right? You don't have to use up a center spot or a util spot there. So I do like one of Towns, one of Gobert. And then Naz Reid, I like a lot. Obviously, I would play Naz Reid at the power forward position for sure. I like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. On the Charlotte side, I'm not getting to any of these Charlotte. I think Charlotte gets dusted here. LaMelo Ball as a contrarian spend up at 8,900. God forbid this game stays close. It's likely on the back of a guy like LaMelo Ball, but I really can't touch these Charlotte. Minnesota, I do think, has a lot of good plays. They're only going to get better when Edwards likely gets ruled out here in this game. So definitely pay attention to that news. If Edwards were to play, I still think Walker is a solid value play, and I think Naz Reid is fine. Overall, it would just make this game a little bit less appealing because that much more risk of a blowout here than it already is, right? Charlotte's been in good game environments, but now run into Minnesota here, one of the best defensive teams in the entire basketball, in the entire NBA here. And I think that changes here. So overall, pretty good game on the Minnesota side. Definitely. Let's touch on the next game here, starting 30 minutes after that, 7:30, 8:30 Eastern, Boston, Dallas overall. Dallas at home here, 3-point dogs, 240 is the total. So second highest total on the board behind that Detroit-Milwaukee game here. Much closer spread in this one, just a 3-point spread. You got Luka, you got Tatum, you got Jaylen Brown, you got Derek White, you got Kyrie. Both of these teams, I mean, pretty much fully healthy here. Not a ton of ownership going to this game. Likely, obviously, ownership is heavily dictated by teams being shorthanded, right? Because minutes and usage go around. That's huge for NBA DFS. But 240 total, close spread here. You got stud, you got star power on both sides. Touch on this one, Boston in Dallas.
Yeah, should be a game. I mean, I think Boston beats them handily, but obviously Vegas knows more than I do. 3-point spread, second game of a back-to-back for these Celtics. Kristaps Porzingis is the only big, I'll call him the big five. Big five sitting out. Drew Holiday not on the injury report, so they should be rocking and rolling outside of Kristaps. My favorite Celtic is going to be Jaylen Brown. Only played 31 minutes last night, and so A, I like the matchup, and B, that he didn't play, high 30s like Tatum and Derek White did. So I like Jaylen Brown a lot tonight. Luka, going to Luka, he's going to get squeezed out, in my opinion. You got 11-4 and 11K for the other two, big dogs in Embiid and Antetokounmpo, however you say his last name, Giannis. And then so Luka's going to get squeezed. So he is a great GPP spend up. He's a great GPP spend up tonight. So I like Luka if you're playing in the 20 max like I am. Jaylen Brown's my favorite Celtic. And then I got to talk about my boy Derek White. I play him every night almost. 6,700. I think he's a great play. That's going to be it though. No Kyrie for me. Interested in your take. A 9K for Kyrie. But it's going to be Jaylen Brown, my favorite Celtic. Luka, obviously my favorite Mav, and then Derek White for me in this game.
Yeah, one more time, I just want you to say Giannis's last name for me and for the people in the chat. Get a nice little comedy hour on this Monday afternoon here. Some teams might be, some people might have their heads down after their football team lost, and nice little comedy sandwich here on pronunciation. But
Giannis, he's Giannis, the Greek freak. I can't say Antetokounmpo or however you say it.
Oh, that's a good laugh. That's a good laugh there. But no, this game is definitely intriguing. My two favorite plays in this game by far and away, no questions about it. Jaylen Brown, Derek White, love both of them here. I think you can play them together. Derek White's been crushing. Got him at 2% ownership the other night when he absolutely nuked for his price, right? 44, went off for 44.75 there. Love that play. And then Jaylen Brown at 8,100, coming off a 50 burger. I like going right back at the well. Pretty good spot for both these guys. Good above average matchups for both of them. I agree with your take. I do think Luka gets squeezed. And Luka, I mean, hurt my feelings last game when he went off for 75, and I was holding Kyrie's pocket there, where Kyrie limped to get to 26 DraftKings points. I'm actually team Kyrie over Luka here tonight. I like going back to the well with Kyrie. So I do like Kyrie. I like the price point as well at $9K for Kyrie. So it's a couple guards for me in this game. It's Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Kyrie Irving, my three favorite plays. You could pull a guy like Sam Hauser, right, who likely is going to start for Porzingis there in that starting lineup at power forward. Don't love it. I mean, he's just basically a shooter. He's going to stand out there in the corner, stand out there at the wing, hope to catch the basketball and shoot it and make a shot there. So he could, right? He's going to get some ownership after that big game against Houston, right, where he played 31 minutes, went for 32 DraftKings points there. A little bit of different spot here. I think he's a fine mid-tier play at 4.2K, but it's the guard heavy for me. Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Kyrie Irving, far and away my three favorite plays in this game, and I like them quite a bit here. Jumping to the last game of the night here, we do have injury news in this one. Grayson Allen, I talked about, is questionable. Eric Gordon's also questionable. Drummond's questionable, and Patrick Williams are all questionable in this game. Obviously, if Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon were both to miss, that would definitely shake some things up a little bit. Grayson Allen has been playing a lot of minutes there. He's been crushing as well. He's been playing 32 to 34, 35 minutes, playing very well, shooting the basketball a lot. We're not going to get that news until later when most of the slate does lock. Obviously, we got 3 games locking right at the 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern window, and then 1 game each at the next half hour. So not going to have a lot of this news or this news for sure before those other games lock. But touch on this one, not a ton of ownership going to this game in terms of a total here. We do have a 229 total, just a 5-point spread here. Can you get to any of these guys? Kevin Durant, DeRozan, Kobe White, Vucevic. I know you talked about him a little bit pre-show. You love this guy, Vuce. I mean, you'd be slobbing on this guy every time we're on a show, it seems like. So touch on your love, your newly found love for Vucevic there. But where are you going? Chicago, Phoenix.
Yeah, my love for Vooch. I love Vooch so much. My favorite play in this game is actually on the other side of the center, Nurkic. I actually prefer Nurkic in this matchup over Vooch. But KD, I mean, they are also playing the second night of a back-to-back. And KD, old man KD, played 40 minutes last night, was absolutely on fire. 40 points in that game, 40 minutes. So obviously something to monitor. But Nurkic is my favorite son in this game just based on the price, based on the matchup that we get there. Then on the flip side, we've done it all season long, and that's pick on guards against this Suns team. And you're staring right at Kobe White, who we know is going to play 35 minutes, who we know is going to chuck it up there 15 times, has a super long leash. So give me some Kobe White. Point guards against Suns are a real thing. $7,200. I'm seeing, sub 10% ownership. Kobe White, my favorite Bull. Nurkic is going to be my favorite Sun. And let's talk about if we're missing Allen, if we're missing Gordon, if we're missing those other pieces. Someone in the chat was talking Okogie. I don't think I can get there. To me, I would just put everything more towards Nurkic. Obviously, I understand it's a different position, but if those other guys are missing, I think the big three and then Nurkic are going to be the ones that benefit the most. But Nurkic's my favorite, followed by Kobe White.
Yeah, no, great breakdown. I do think Okogie would be all right play. You could also see a Keita Bates or one of those guys. I mean, slide in there, right? Keita Bates, Diop at 3.1K. Him or Okogie, I think, be fine. Keita Bates is 3.1K. Okogie's 3.6K. Okogie has shown some upside last season when he's gotten minutes and gotten the start and gotten usage there in Phoenix. So I don't hate that. Obviously, that's injury news to monitor. Kevin Durant doesn't have any injury designation, but he did play 40 minutes last night. He could pop up late. You never know. Definitely have to monitor it always, like you do every time in the NBA here with this injury news and this injury reporting. The new rules have helped that a little bit, but still do have to monitor that. I do like Nurkic quite a bit here at 7K flat. I think that's a good price point on him. I think he's got some upside here. So he's my favorite son. And then I think I like your take on Kobe White. He is 7,200. I just don't love that price. I actually like the next tier below him. Alex Caruso, I think, is a solid play at 5,200. But the pivot off of Alex Caruso, I want to go to Ayo Dosunmu here at 4.7K, gets that same matchup. He's played 32 minutes and 28 minutes in back-to-back games here. He went for 37.5 last game in 28 minutes against Memphis here. Ayo Dosunmu, I think, is a solid play at 4.7K. Nobody's going to play him. And in tournaments as a late-night hammer piece, gets a good matchup here against Phoenix. I don't hate Ayo here as a very low-owned play in this late-night game. So I think there is some plays from here. Overall, I see that comment in the chat. Me too in play. I think he is 4.2K, right? He's got an okay price point, but man, it's just hard to get to him. I mean, unless KD or one of these guys is out, I don't think I can do it. I would much rather take a shot at value on the other side of this game, like a Ayo Dosunmu for a little bit more, or some of that other value we already talked about on the slate. So me too, not for me. And go collect. They could be blowout related, but I mean, you could see the way Ayo's been playing, right? I mean, 28 minutes isn't all blowout. 32 minutes isn't all blowout, right? The game doesn't blow out for 30 plus minutes. So I think they could, I mean, the way he's playing, he could eat into guys like Caruso, right? I don't know. I think it's still a fine play at 4.7K in tournaments to get different. So I don't hate the play there because I do think a lot more people go to Alex Caruso just because obviously his minutes are much more secure there for Chicago. But that's all 7 games on the slate. How much are we going to give the people a play of the day? I'll kick it over to you to give a play of the day before we get on out of here.
Yeah, let's give them a play of the day. I'm not going to be picking anyone from the Milwaukee game. I can promise you that. But my play of the day, let me go real quick. I'm going to go with the guy I just talked about at the center position, $7,000 for these Phoenix Suns. Chicago, 28th, ranked 28th in the NBA versus big men. Give me Yusuf Nurkic as my play of the day.
Wow, Newlands, if you were a betting man in the chat, you would have won all the money there because, I mean, this guy can't pronounce names. He's the biggest hater of the name he can't pronounce, and he's the biggest center slobber in the entire tout space on the internet here. He did pick Nurkic for his play of the day. I do think it's a solid play overall. But I'm going to that Boston-Dallas game. Not a lot of ownership going to this game overall. I think people go to it. They go to Jason Tatum. I'm going to the other stud on the Celtics here. One of the other studs, I should say, at 8.1K. It's not Derek White, who I do think is a good play, but it's going to be his co-partner there, Jaylen Brown, at 8.1K. I think goes for 50+ here tonight. In this matchup against Dallas, I think this is a close game. I think it goes back and forth. I like Jaylen Brown to have a big game here tonight. That's going to do it for this edition of the NBA show. I think we broke it down well. Obviously, there isn't a ton of news to monitor. Stuff could pop up like it always does. Obviously, the biggest news that we talked about off the top is Anthony Edwards. That's huge news. That's the biggest piece of news. Xavier Tillman's pretty big. And then obviously Grayson Allen in this last game is pretty big because he has been playing a lot of minutes there and commanding a lot of usage there for Phoenix. But any final remarks, Hamwich?
No final remarks. I was going to say it, but you picked it up. Yeah, Ant, you obviously want to know what he's doing tonight. It's going to open up a ton of value in that Minnesota game. You're going to have to find those value pieces somewhere. We talked about several of them. So should be a good one. Looking forward to it. And when Nurkic ships me all the cheese, we'll come back Friday and discuss, and you and Newlands can hate all y'all want.
Yeah, hate all y'all want. I'm just surprised you got Vucevic's unit out of your mouth down there and went to his co-partner today. So overall, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. If you guys can, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. We got you covered over here at SHIPIT Nation. All our cores, content, slate plan. The slate plan is already live from our guy Hebrew in the chat. If you're watching, he does amazing work over there. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Good luck tonight in those contests. Hope to see those SHIPIT Nation logos at the top. For Hamwich, I'm Nadesify. Let's ship it.